we're talking about rebasing may not capture the reality when it comes to measuring inflation. Some sectors are happy. The real estate is one of that. The sector expanded by 46.52% in nominal terms in the third quarter of 2024. And now the NBS says it has overtaken oil and gas to become the third largest sector in the country. Let's discuss this with a stakeholder in that sector, Dr. Oluwatosin Olatunjoye. He is the Chief Executive Officer of Xylux Group. Dr. Olatunjoye. I have this other name. Yeah. Olatunjoye, thank you so much for joining us on the program this morning. I mean, when a lot of people hear real estate has overtaken oil and gas as the largest, what does it mean for you as a stakeholder in that sector?
All right, so you realize that as a stakeholder in that sector, we are happy to see that report because it means that real estate is growing. It means sustainability. So, and if we look at it in the country, when it comes to real estate, it's as if we are still scratching surface because we are not yet there. And not being there yet, we are already having some data that shows that the real estate sector is the third largest. So it means that it's a market that is booming. So as time goes on, it's going to be a market that, a lot of people will make money from it. And in terms of appreciation, if you look at it, real estate has been the market that everyone in the country have been able to testify to it because it's only the markets that keep appreciating every time without depreciating. And okay, go ahead.
But it means, I mean, you stakeholders, you players in the industry are making more money.
Yes.
But we still have a large housing gap. We still have houses at least high cost.
Yes.
For a lot of Nigerians.
Because if you look at it, in 2023, the contribution of real estate to the GDP is about 5.58, the entire 2023. And in 2024, because of the reduction in the purchasing power of the economy, we're all thinking that probably the real estate sector will be low. But meanwhile, last year also, based on the third quarter report, we are still 5.43 in the GDP contribution. So what that means is that a lot of people are interested in buying real estate. But the challenges they are having is basically affordability and flexible payment plan and a long-term duration to pay. So if we can solve these 3 points, then the housing deficit that we have at the moment between 20 million to 28 million can be reduced. People need affordable housing. People need housing that they can easily pay for. And with a long time.
But doesn't the sustenance of that value, doesn't it just say it's because the assets or the houses are more expensive? It doesn't mean that more people have acquired houses. It just means that perhaps the assets are more expensive. So maybe some people can buy 3 houses, the cost of 3 houses, you can now use the same fund for 2 houses. So I mean, it's just because of the drop in the value of the naira.
So if you look at the economy, we have the high, the middle, and the low.
Do we still have middle? Because since the middle is lost.
No, there is middle. Because the market that really need housing, the market making up this housing deficit we are talking about is between middle and low. The high ones can afford to buy houses for themselves. And the middle and low, if you look at the income they earn from their salary on a monthly basis, can they easily afford to pay for a particular house they want to own for themselves? No. Because the kind of house that are available in the market are not affordable. So as a real estate developer in the industry in Nigeria, we need to start looking towards building some houses in some strategic location, because you cannot build house in Ikoyi or in Lekki Phase 1 and expect the value of the house to low. No, it is not possible. So we need to start setting up houses in some areas where people can easily afford it and be able to set up a good payment plan for them, and they pay for a long time.
Yeah, we've been having this conversation for a while. We know we should, for instance, being realistic here in Lagos, if you're talking about kind of an area, you'll be looking at maybe Ikorodu or Epe.
Yes.
But people were Badagry.
Yeah.
But when you connect that to where people actually work, where they have to travel every day, then you see that perhaps a lot of people will not be able to, because there's no easy linkage. So that's on the one hand.
Okay.
On the other hand, you have the payment plan. I'm sure you are an investor.
Yes.
You want to be sure that you're going to get your money back, not just your capital, but also your interest, your benefits, getting involved in that business. And where do we see that kind of plan? At the end of the day. And by the time you look at even the installment payments, in reality, an average Nigerian cannot afford it. That's the truth.
Okay, so taking it from the first point you said, in terms of the distance from where people come from to another. Let's look at London, United Kingdom, for instance. You realize that a lot of people travel from a long distance to get to where they are going, because there's a means of transportation that get them closer to their workplace as quick as possible. So this is where government intervention needs to come in. And the government are really trying to bring up some other means of transportation for people to move from one location to another. So if there are good infrastructure, if there are good rail system, and even water transportation that can easily take me from, if I'm living in Ikorodu, does not mean I should pass through the main road to get to Island. Do you know that if you go through the water from Ikorodu to Lekki Phase 1, you will just use like 10 to 15 minutes to get there? But what about the means, the investment in that regards that will make people to be able to get there on time? So we need government intervention to be able to come in also to put infrastructure that will make people to move from their affordable homes to wherever they are working, because it's not everybody that can afford to live on in Lekki Phase 1, Ikeja, Magodo, all those places. No. So I think that will solve the first point that you're talking about.
Then the other point, the payment plan. So
the payment plan, in that regards, we need, yes, people need to have a long payment plan, because there was a time I did a study. At Zealous Group International, we have research departments that we make sure that we do research on a daily basis. So we realize that it's not that people don't want to buy houses, but they need an house that will give them easy payment plan that will fit into their income. So if you have a 10 years mortgage, that what you need to be paying on a monthly basis is maybe 200,000 naira on a monthly basis, and you're earning 500,000, you want to own a home. So our mortgage system also still needs to improve so that we can do more better.
Has your research looked at building materials? Because I know that's at the core of the expensive houses that we have. Perhaps if we had more locally produced raw materials, it could reduce the end price of this asset.
All right, so in the building materials, yes, you realize that we heard sometimes that some people use bamboo to do their decking. So is it, I want to believe that it is not all housing that you can use such method to build. So from my own research, it shows that we need to start looking towards cost efficiency, in the sense that most of the materials that take a lot of money from us as a developer are just 4 materials. The number 1 materials is the cement. Then we talk about the iron. Then we talk about diesel. Diesel is also part of it. Then the finishing material. So we need to start bringing in investors that can locally produce all these materials and be able to get them at a cheap price. And getting them at a cheap price means that we're going to save the cost of importation.
All right, we hope that soon we will see that. And I believe investors like yourself should be able to move that. Let's start doing building materials locally
to achieve that.
All right, Dr. Oluwatosin Olatunjoye, District Executive Officer of Xylux Group, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, so that's much we can take on this side of Sunrise Daily. Head back to the Sunrise Daily studio. Laddie Williams will be back at 1 p.m. You'll be here. I think he has a surprise for you, something new with the markets. I'll leave that to him to unveil. All right, well, back to the Sunrise Daily studio. I'm Ini John Mekwa. Have a great day.